Hi, my name is Sammy Wu. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been a nurse for 16 years. I work at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center on 23rd Street and 1st Avenue.
My name's Adam. I am a mechanic for UPS. I've been doing it for about 20 years.
In August of 2025 was the first international family trip that we had with our family. We went to the Moon Palace, Grand in Cancun, Mexico. There was actually 17 of us.
Yeah, it was a family trip for us and the kids and the grandparents.
We were actually residing at one of the pools, and one of my nieces wanted to try, the Olympic pools. At the other pool that we were at, my daughter sustained an abrasion on her knee, and I put a regular Band-Aid on her, and I wanted to get a waterproof Band-Aid on her. And so me and my husband were focusing on her, and I had the intention of reapplying sunscreen on my son before having him go back into the water. We took off the life jackets thinking that it was wet, it was gonna get him cold, so he didn't have his life jacket on, and his cousins who already knew how to swim were already in the water. So tending to her, we got distracted, and he was playing on the side of the pool. And the pool edge wasn't a sharp edge, it was like a curved edge, and he was splashing with the water, and from what he told me, he said he fell into the water. My niece was the one that found my son unresponsive in the middle of the pool and dragged him out. And then when he came out of the water, he was unresponsive, cyanotic. Because I'm a nurse, we started CPR on him immediately. There was no lifeguards available at the time. Luckily, there was a respiratory therapist and another nurse on site as well too helping. We just gave CPR, the ambulance came, and then took him to the hospital. He was in the ICU for about 5-6 days or so, and at that time, there was only a 2-hour limit of visiting time a day. And so we had to leave our sons back and forth, and that was very tough for us in general. We were in the step down, they called it step down, which is just like a regular ER room, and then we got downgraded to a regular room. We were there for another week in a regular ward, but there was no stimulation for him. The only thing he had was just a TV. Knowing that, I couldn't leave him because I couldn't trust the staff that was there, the medical care, knowing that I'm a nurse. And the language barrier as well too was very difficult. We had everything set in plan to leave on that Sunday. Our tickets were all rescheduled back to that day. We had every anticipation to leave, and he was improving until that Sunday morning, he started desaturating. We didn't know why. We tried to give him multiple nebulizers, however, they were ineffective. And we did a new x-ray, which showed that he had new pleural effusion. And so they said they might have to tap him, which then might mean that we have to go back to the ICU. And we were not ready for that. I had a nervous breakdown, and I've never had one before. I also outreached the professionals back here that work in pulmonary medicine in the ICU, and she said they potentially might have to tap his lungs to get that fluid out. And after hearing that, I said, no, that's it, I'm done. With the poor subpar medical care that we were receiving in Mexico, and everything had to get insurance authorization, that's all they told us. And they also wanted us to pay upfront cash for the $61,000 at the time, which obviously we don't have lying in the bank. And so I think we were done, and I think that's when my husband looked up the MedEvac.
Yeah, we were at the end of our ropes, and she was breaking down, no sleep. As a dad, I didn't know what to do. You just want to take care of your son. So I made a call to VitalOne, see what they have to say and if they could help us. And
I think at that point, we were willing to pay money out of our pocket to get them out of there. That we had enough. Like, we didn't care at that point.
Yeah, we were willing to do anything to get out of that situation. We were on the phone with Isaac from VitalOne, and he basically explained to us in our situation to get home, and the closest medical facility to our location was Miami, and from there our cost would be zero, which 100% true. We didn't pay anything out of pocket. After hanging up the phone with Isaac, as a dad, the elephant just came off my shoulders. The pressure of what do we do now? What do we do now? And once I hung up the phone, it was that's when I knew that we were gonna get home. It was the best call I ever made.
Yeah, that made history. I think it was the best decision he's made in his entire life.
Yeah, I still hear it to this day. As since we've been together, this has been the best decision ever. Within an hour, he gave us a call back, and the plane was in the air.
Yeah, he made the call at 3 o'clock on that Sunday. He made the call at 3 o'clock. We were gone by 9 o'clock, and that was it. Yep. They brought the necessary staff, the doctors. We were obviously in disbelief because the whole 2 weeks we were there in Cancun, Mexico, it was just, everything was stagnant. Everything needed insurance authorization. So when they actually showed up with a stretcher with their team, we were in disbelief that this could finally be the end of it all, the end of this whole trauma that we were going through. It was seamless. They worked at lightning speed to get us out of there. They found a physician that spoke Spanish and knew that doctor's number in Mexico. And they made a call. They explained the situation, that we had to leave. They almost didn't want to let us leave because they wanted us to sign a against medical advice form, and we refused that, and she didn't want to fill out the fit to fly, but the doctor spoke to her and she filled that out, and then we were able to leave. It was very difficult in Mexico, but it was the best decision we made. And by the time they came, we knew exactly where we were going, the accepting provider, and they took us into a stretcher, and my son was lying on top of me because he at that point could not be without me because he was just traumatized from everything, being in the hospital away from his sister, and so it was so seamless.
It was literal door-to-door service.
Yeah.
Like from hospital bed to stretcher, ambulance, airplane, back onto the stretcher to our next facility. It was 100% seamless.
Also, Border Patrol at Miami, they had their separate customs just for air ambulances, and we were the only ones there. And they communicated very well with each other, with the ambulance personnel, the air ambulance. We didn't have to say a thing. They took care of everything.
The ambulance, they knew exactly what to do. The staff knew what they're doing. We didn't have to pick up a phone. We didn't have to do any work. And they got us there, they got us out. That's it.
We actually didn't even eat anything all day that day, and VitalOne even brought us dinner. We were not having any appetite the whole 2 weeks that we were there, but that was the first time we ate at 12 o'clock midnight for the whole day. Yeah, VitalOne took care of us. From door to door, I think we got to the hospital about 4.5 hours or so to Miami stateside. Once we got to Miami, it was a breath of fresh air. It was the best decision ever because all we requested for was to make sure that we got a hospital that actually accepted his insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they found that, and he said Nicholas is 100% connected with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Isaac, he has all the connections. He found a liaison at Miami, the accepting hospital, and she was phenomenal as well. So he worked at lightning speed. It made Mexico look so slow. Yes, it was so embarrassing. He probably did more work than Mexico did in 2 weeks. We had not seen our son smile or laugh in more than 2 weeks. And once we hit Nicholas Hospital, they had these therapists that were phenomenal. And so to see him smile and laugh for the first time in 2 weeks, it was very heartwarming. The care there was phenomenal. Everyone was amazing. I could not ask for a better hospital. The doctor that was actually taking care of us was actually a near drowning victim as well too. And she was actually in the water for 19 minutes and she survived, and she's a doctor now. So that gave me a lot of hope. They asked us actually to stay for a couple of days in Miami just to allow his lungs to recover a little bit more. And by Saturday, we just booked the flight and then we came back home. He was off the oxygen after we got discharged from Miami, I think a day or two later. We saw the pulmonologist and a pediatrician, and they got us in maybe 2 or 3 days after we returned back home, and they're he can go back to school now. He's back to his normal self. He would have never known that he actually went through this. Yeah, back to his normal self. There's no repercussions, no brain injury, heart injury, lung injury, nothing of that. And even as a healthcare professional myself, I never knew that medevacs were available to us. And so this was astonishing to find out. So if I can help one family, even just one family out there, to prevent this from happening, and if they could receive proper care much earlier on than when we did, then that's all I wish for. I would definitely recommend VitalOne to anyone that's going through a medical emergency on vacation. Isaac took care of everything from start to finish, and we didn't have to lift one single finger. Just make one call to VitalOne at 1-800-MEDEVAC, and he's gonna take care of the rest, and you'll be back home before you know it.
Our insurance is through my employer, and speaking with Isaac, there was zero costs from where we were at until the closest medical facility, and Isaac took care of everything. The insurance never questioned me for medical necessity, and it's still the best decision I ever made. It was zero cost out of pocket. It was unbelievable. Yeah.